Yesterday, during FOMC, we got some pretty good news, which has led to a small pump, but will continue from here. Plus, these two altcoins are ready to explode with big events coming up. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, AltcoinBuzzIO, and as always, not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Alright guys, so starting off today, we have FOMC, which was yesterday, and Virtual Bacon says, finally a positive Fed balance sheet update from FOMC today. Beginning in April, the committee will slow the pace of decline of its securities holdings by reducing the monthly redemption cap on the Treasury securities from $25 billion to $5 billion. This is the final stretch before the Fed ends quantitative tightening. The cap to the sales of the Fed balance sheet was $60 billion last May, then down to $25 billion, and soon will only be $5 billion per month. Signs are looking good for QT to end in mid-year. We also have the Kobayashi later who says, a summary of the Fed Chair Powell's statements. 1, the economy is strong. Inflation remains somewhat elevated. 2, tariffs have driven inflation expectations higher. The Fed is not in a hurry and will wait for further clarity. If the labor market weakens, the Fed can ease if needed. If the economy remains strong, policy restraint can be maintained, and made technical decision to slow balance sheet decline. The Fed remains in a wait-and-see mode. They also shared that President Trump is reportedly expecting to make a major update on his upcoming crypto strategy. So that kind of gave a little bit of a pump to Bitcoin yesterday. We also have Watcher Crew who shared this from Fed Chair Powell yesterday during FOMC.
How much of it is tariff? So let me say that it is going to be very difficult to have a precise assessment of how much of inflation is coming from tariffs and from other, and that's already the case. You may have seen that goods inflation moved up pretty significantly in the first 2 months of the year. Trying to track that back to actual tariff increases, given what was tariffed and what was not, very, very challenging. So some of it, the answer is clearly some of it. A good part of it is coming from tariffs, but we'll be working, and so will other forecasters, to try to find the best possible way to separate non-tariff inflation from tariff inflation.
And Crypto Rover shares Trump will speak at the summit today at 10:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Other speakers include Michael Saylor and Brad Garlinghouse, with discussions on Bitcoin ETFs and institutional adoption. The pump is confirmed. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that part, but he will be speaking, and there is potentially a new policy change. Now, depending on what is said, I expect it to probably be a nothing burger, nothing to really happen at this, this big, conference going on today. But I do think it might give a little bit more clarity to the market, but I don't think it's going to be anything revolutionary. So if you remember here on our order of possibilities that we shared the last couple of days, pretty much what we've expected has happened so far. Number one, the small pump before FOMC, which is followed by no rate cuts and then a dump below $80,000 again. So if we zoom in here right now, which was the green line, we were around $83,000 when we said this. We pumped up to around 87,300, and now we're starting to sell off a little bit before New York Open. Now this could very well just completely reverse because it was some pretty good news going on. Jerome Powell was a bit dovish, so it was good overall for the markets. But now we're starting to see a little bit of a sell-off. So do I still think we dump below $80,000? I think it's still possible. I think we could come back down here. We need to have this little pump, and then I do think we could still come down here towards these levels, but it is very possible, depending on what goes on today during this crypto summit, if there's something that's said, it's very possible that this was the bottom, $76,000, before we had higher. But I still think there is a possibility that we do come down here. So be prepared in case that does happen. And then we have Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, saying, that's it, the moment we've been waiting for. The SEC will drop its appeal, a resounding victory for Ripple, for crypto. Every way you look at it, the future is bright. Let's build. So he said this.
As many of you know, just over 4 years ago, the United States SEC filed its lawsuit against Ripple. I'm finally able to announce that this case has ended. It's over. Sitting here today and reflecting on 4 years ago, it seems very clear to me that this case was doomed from the start. In so many ways, it was the first major shot fired in the war on crypto. I truly felt like I knew then that Ripple was not only on the right side of the law, but I felt that we were also going to be proven to be on the right side of history.
It really, I think, sends an ominous sign for innovation around cryptocurrency in the United States. Picking winners in general has not been something the U.S. government should be in the business of doing.
I think the judge realizes this is not just about Ripple. This will have broader implications.
As Mary Jo White, the former head of the SEC, has said publicly that she views this as a dead wrong, and the SEC is dead wrong on this decision.
Ripple is the first company with the resources, determination, and grit to fight back against the agency's overreach. And today, this journey finally concludes. Today is a victory and a long overdue surrender by the SEC.
And then he also went on Bloomberg TV to clarify everything and also talk about the $125 million penalty.
Do you think that part of this means fighting it till the very end to make sure even that part of uncertainty around being sold to certain investors classifies as a security? Is that what you are fighting for ultimately at this point?
Well, I mean, at this point, all we're fighting for is, do we want to fight to get the $125 million back? And look, I'll be honest, would I have walked away from that before they appealed, before President Trump put Paul Atkins and Scott Bessent and David Sachs as critical, key, very smart leaders in this industry to bring this industry back on shore? I would have walked away. Now you look at that, you're like, this case in this SEC never would have been brought. And so where we find ourselves is, great, there's a clear legal victory to say XRP is not a security. That was good for the industry. But there's pieces of it that we think could be kind of cleaned up. And the question is, do we want to fight that fight, or can we come to an agreement with the SEC to drop everything?
And then we have sentiment saying XRP has decoupled from the altcoin pack, surging another 14% and breaching the $2.50 resistance for the first time in 12 days. Wallets with at least 1 million XRP now hold 46.4 billion coins, as they've accumulated 6.5% more in just the past 2 months alone. Address activity has also exploded in the month of March, seeing approximately 6 times more unique wallets interacting on the network in March compared to earlier months. So a lot more whales and a lot more people are buying XRP in recent days, especially with this lawsuit finally ending. Then we also have Whale Insider saying, just in, BitNominal set to launch the first ever regulated XRP futures in the US tomorrow. So this was today. XRP is going to have its first ever futures ETF going live, which is going to be very big for XRP, and I believe it's going to be a bit of a catalyst. I do think we kind of sell off a little bit, but I think going into New York Open, I think XRP will be one of the stronger ones. It'll be likely to pump if the whole market doesn't completely dump. I do think this is pretty bullish for XRP in the short term. So we had this level reclaim where we said we wanted to break through this level and then we wanted to come down and retest it. We've done that perfectly. This looks beautiful. I do think we head higher to at least around this level, around $2.93. I do think this is a possible target for us to try to reclaim again. So I think we might see something like this where we go down before New York Open and then we pump back up going into it, maybe with the XRP futures launch. So we'll have to see how New York opens, but I am pretty bullish on XRP right now at this level, as it has reclaimed this major level here at $2.30. And then moving on, we have the co-founder at Mysten Labs and Sui in Walrus Protocol, who says this one use case is going to be huge. Walrus Protocol will be the ultimate binary transparency layer, not just for Web3, but also Web2. So this is in regard to the Bybit hack. If you guys remember, $1.4 billion of ETH got hacked a couple weeks ago from a Bybit. And this is in regards to what they're planning to do with Walrus to kind of solve that issue.
You have to have a system that protects you against anything that you are running in your computer, including the web pages. And this is where Walrus is coming with all of this new technology, cryptography behind it, that people can learn if the content that they're loading on their website is correct, validated. They have some thumbs up from other different people who are running the same content. They have to feel this security and comfort that, okay, it's not a cheeky website where it will try to drive me into signing something else. And Walrus is going to solve the binary transparency problem. In my opinion, it's probably the best effort as humanity that we had, because we have the wallets we can verify with digital signatures and all of this stuff, that now, if we work closely with the wallets and the browsers, we can solve this problem once and for all, because we do have the tech. I'm not saying it's like the blockchain revolution when the Bitcoin came with Nakamoto, but at the same time, binary transparency is a huge problem, not only for Web3, it's also for Web2. Imagine you go to your e-banking and someone is putting a fake web page there, right? I believe Walrus will be used actually for Web2.
And then we also have big Walrus Q1 updates. So in Q1, they've had big new partnerships. First, they had the Super B partnership. With this, people can see how Walrus's storage helps a social gaming platform more effectively and even create, share, and save UGC. That's user-generated content and one of the future trends of all content online. And then we have Ethereum. Here we look at large data sets of intellectual property, in this case, music. Due to Walrus's specialty with storing blobs and large datasets, Ethereum is using it to store and access entire music catalogs. There are potentially huge ramifications here for royalty payments or tokenization of songs and catalogs for the sale of publishing rights. And lastly, the diversity of types of partnerships we see continues, this time in RWA project. Plume is partnering with Walrus to ensure accurate data for its TradFi and DeFi users, another great partnership. So that is Walrus, which you can also check out, link down below. And then lastly today, we also have Solana, which is getting an ETF in the United States, the first ever Solana ETF. Now it is important to understand that this is a futures ETF, not a spot ETF, but usually futures ETFs pave the way for a spot ETF to come sooner. So this is actually very bullish for Solana, because if a future ETF launches today, then we could see a spot ETF in the coming months, which is very good for Solana. We also have CoinMarketCap sharing a week in Solana. Solana turns 5, they pull an ad, and they celebrate ETF news. So the TVL has climbed to $7 billion. The CME is launching their futures. Pumped up fund graduations are below 1%, and ad controversy erupts. So Solana is actually looking okay right now. It's holding above this line. Now I will say, if we do hold here when we make a higher low, this is bullish, and we could head back up towards this level around 165 is where I could see us at least, starting to make a lower high. If we did want to come back up here, I could see something like this before maybe heading down. It really depends on what happens with Trump and crypto today. But I don't see us overall just instantly reversing from here. I do think it takes a little bit of time, but this is a great level for Solana to kind of consolidate. If we did consolidate around here a little bit longer, it is very bullish for Solana, and that is something that I would like to see as well. But I don't know if Solana is going to instantly pump on this futures ETF news. It just means more people can easily short it as well. So while launching a futures ETF is bullish for a spot ETF in the future, it does mean it's also a lot easier for big institutions to short Solana, which it could be bearish in the short term. So that's a possibility. Whereas XRP, I do think it is going to be a little bit stronger, because we also have, in combination to the futures ETF news, we also have the the SEC case finally ending. So it's a little bit more bullish for XRP. But I think Solana will do well overall in the coming weeks and months. I just think it's possible that we do have a little bit more consolidation around this 123 level. And as long as Bitcoin holds somewhat around here, I do think that'll hold. But if Bitcoin does break down below $80,000, I do think we come down towards this high 80s to low 90 range again as the next level of support for Solana before heading back up. But I do think Solana will have a better rest of the year. I do think we do have quantitative tightening ending in mid this year, and I think we do kind of transition into quantitative easing later this year. So if that does happen, I do think it'll be more of a bullish end of the year, which kind of lines up with the 4-year cycle as well. But that's the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys tomorrow.